Good afternoon and good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and CoffeeStream number 316. And it is Friday, and it is also, wow, that's very loud. Um, it is Friday, and it is also the end of the month, which means it's the time for call-in day. So in a few moments, I will be getting the link in chat for everybody. I'm just waiting for there we go. Stream is paused on the watch page. Hooray. Okay. Let's see who's here. We have Gun Fox. We have Duck Dog. We've got Skeptalk. Hello. So it's good to have you all here. Let's make sure I'm on live chat, not top chat. That would be helpful. There we go. All right. I am now on live chat. I know. I'm taking forever. Good afternoon, Peter Almond. Lining up the sound bites today, says Gunfox. Oh boy. Oh boy. um. So I'll be going over and throwing the link into chat in a moment. I'm also going to be jumping over into the Discord in a few moments and news hunting, and I'm sure we'll have some fun things to talk about when I look for that, because Gunfox has been busily posting the news. And I know I sound like I'm stuffed up. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. I'm hoping it's allergies, because I spent the entire day yesterday cleaning the house, and I'm wondering if I disturbed a bunch of dust or something. I'm hoping that's what it is, because if I get sick again, I'm gonna be really fucking pissed off. Okay. Who else is here? Yes, Gunfox the News Hound, says Peter Almond. That is a very apt description of Gunfox. There, not Peter. Ah, yes. Coffee in the wonderful Monty Python mug. I love this mug. I decided not to put it away after I brought it out last Wednesday. I got the corona. You got the Kong virus. Or the con virus. The con virus. Everyone run for the hills. No, goddammit, I'm not sick again. It's allergies. Hello, Wiki. Glad to have you here. Alright. Let us jump over to the DMs. And why are you not opening? There we go. Okay. Copy message. Yes, please. So, yeah, what we'll do is we'll let some more people trickle in to chat. Hello, Skeptalk. Blind Press. You say you're not sick. Press X to doubt. Oh, and people, you guys suck. So there's the link in chat. So I've been listening to a bunch of the impeachment stuff, and Pincalo had Legal Eagles video up uh, today of Adam Schiff's closing statements from last week. And I was listening to them more closely. And I came to realize, and Pincalo was there as well. And he actually had a very good idea, and it's really funny. Um, but the more I listen to Adam Schiff, the more I hear him go, "What if? What if Trump had China or sorry, had Russia interfere with the next election? You can't trust Trump. What if Trump had China, interfere with like it was he was just pulling these scenarios out of thin air, and it was very strange. And it felt like I don't know if anybody remembers the episode of Futurama where the the professor made the what if machine, and it was just the episode was three different scenarios. I think Leela got to ask a what if question, Bender got to ask one, and Fry got to ask one, I think. Um, and it is totally, it sounds exactly like Adam Schiff is playing with the what if machine. Um, Gunfox. He says, Shifty is so full of shit. Yep. The X Files had it right. Trust no one. Yep. Hey there, Irate. If you're up, feel free to come in. I'll just put the link here again. So yeah, if you are up and available, Irate, you are more than welcome. So let's jump over here to Discord. It would help if I actually clicked on Discord instead of tabbing past it. Jesus. Okay. Let us find some news, shall we? Come on. All right. Ah! Stop! Your server's the first one, you idiot. What are you doing? There. Dumbass. Okay. What is happening? I just want the news server, god damn it. Or the news channel, the news server. Yes. Just the news server, not the channel. News for the coffee stream, please. Where is the top? What time? Yes, Gab, you can come on. Skeppy Poo, come along, 'cause Discord's being a shitbag. And I can't get to the news. Help, says Siri. RS Mac. Where? What? I just want to know the headline of the story, god damn it. Let's see. Oh, let's close that. Good day, Skep.
Hey, boss, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm wrestling with Discord.
Yeah, and it's not the fun kind of wrestling.
No, it's not.
And I'm sorry if I had a little sound leak there. I didn't mute the watch page. It's that's done now. Let's jump into Discord. This is on your server, right?
Yeah, I was in the news for the CoffeeStream channel.
News for the
trying
CoffeeStream. Let's go find that.
I was trying to look for something interesting to read.
The Nerd Sanctuary. Okay, God, there's a shit ton of news here.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Pick one, anyone, whatever you'd like.
Nadler appears to steal podium from Schiff in viral impeachment moment.
Oh.
So let's, this is a Fox News story, and I'm going there now. And it's got a picture of Newt Gingrich and Adam Schiff on the thing. There's a subhead. Newt Gingrich calls Schiff's lives as calls them out as deranged. So there's that. Anyway, Representative Adam Schiff may have been the leading House impeachment manager, but it was Representative Jerry Nadler who got the last word in a comical moment that quickly went viral on social media. Wrapping up the second day of questioning by the Senate jurors, Chief Justice John Roberts called on House managers to answer the final question of the evening. He said, "Could you please respond to the answer just given by the President's counsel and provide any other comments the Senate would benefit from hearing before we adjourn for the evening?" Chief Justice Roberts read from the card. Nadler is then seen jumping out of his chair, rushing to the center podium, quickly getting the attention of Schiff, who also leaped from his seat. Oh my God.
Okay. I
Schiff is here.
Was capable of leaping.
I know. Okay. That's an exciting prospect, isn't it? So anyway, Jerry, Schiff is heard saying as he took a few steps toward Nadler, but failed to stop him from speaking. The moment sparked plenty of laughs on social media. "This is incredible. Schiff's tried to stop Nadler. You can hear him call him to stop, and then he showed why." National Republican Senate Committee Senior Advisor Matt Whitlock reacted, later adding, "Dems asked for a closing statement on the night. Nadler, clearly fed up, jumps to his feet and scurries to the mic, ignoring audible protests of lead manager Schiff. Then Nadler gives a terrible lecturing close. Nadler runs to take the shot. Schiff was like, 'Yo, let me handle this. Always give the rock to your all-star.' Schiff is the all-star," New York Times columnist Wajahat, unpronounceable Muslim name Ali, wrote. "I focused on watching Republicans in the chamber during this. Many of them had wry smiles, eyebrows arched, clearly unimpressed, and perhaps a bit stunned at the fact that Nadler felt the need to do this," Yahoo senior political correspondent John Ward tweeted. And let's see, what I want to see is what Nadler said. MSNBC Lawrence O'Donnell weighed in on how fast Nadler got to the podium. He said, Adam Schiff stood. He was ready to go to the podium. He only had to do about 3 steps to get there. Nadler had to do about 12. It's the fastest I've seen Jerry Nadler move in 25 years that I've known him.
Oh, sorry, irate. StreamYard didn't make the noise.
That was probably because Skeptalk was making too much noise with his
No, it
mouth,
would
like I usually
it
do.
goes boop.
Yeah.
It's a very audible. I apologize, irate. I did
Boop.
not hear the boop.
But then apparently, what happened was Nadler got up there, and I'm going to just see if I can Google this really fast. What did Nadler say at closing last night?
Oh, I could just imagine
I just want to see what the text is.
Yeah,
that's all.
it's. But I'm just sitting there like, you know who he reminds me of? Jeremy Irons. I am so very dry, and I can't be bothered to talk any more than like this, except with an American accent.
All right, Julia Rojas, I guess I don't know who that is, posted on Twitter, said Representative Jerry Nadler got up to get the last word in for the night, and Representative Adam Schiff led the lead impeachment manager got up and tried to get Nadler's attention. Jerry, something to that effect.
Yeah. We're talking about exactly that moment. And they were saying it's the fastest they'd seen Nadler move in years.
That's
funny.
funny.
You know,
Maybe that's why his belts or his pants are so high up,
oh God,
so he can run really fast if he needs to.
Newt Gingrich said that Schiff was deranged. He used that word last night.
He is deranged.
No shit,
He's
man.
Crazy. Like I didn't really fully listen to his closing remarks until this morning when I was sitting with Piccolo in his office listening to Legal Eagles video, and I'm sitting there going, because Schiff is legitimately like, well, what if? Well, let's say Russia hacked Burisma, and then they did a huge file dump just to interfere with the next election. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like, what if monkeys fly out of my butt too, right?
So anyway, apparently the thing that came out of Jerry Nadler's mouth was this hectoring lecture. You all are pieces of human garbage. Anybody can see that this president is guilty. If you don't vote to remove him from office, you're immoral and all this other stuff.
Right.
So it was pretty much the standard line. I think we've gotten most of the laughs out of that. I think we should move on because there's more stuff here, and the mocking of CNN. I think we should really get to.
So
did you hear about CNN being mocked?
Well, I the last thing I heard was a couple days back when Piccolo was watching the Twitter video of the live feed where they were like, Trump supporters can't find the Ukraine on a map, ha ha ha. And then Don Lemon is just giggling his ass off like a tiny girl. It's like, but that's the last I've heard.
Yeah. Okay. So no. This is actually worse. And actually, one of the really fine memes of the year so far came out about it, and that was that this guy speaks up. He's supposedly in a committee meeting. He says, "Our company has just come up with a vaccine against the coronavirus, and it also cures cancer." And the head of the committee says, Dave, we've told you can't speak unless you're a Latinx, non-binary, blah blah blah. Identifying as an attack helicopter. So that was actually a response to a real life situation, which I will read to you now. And this is CNN blasted for condemning Trump's coronavirus task force for its, quote, lack of diversity. So the scenario is CNN is condemning Trump's coronavirus task force, which is a gathering of really great
Epidemiologists.
epidemiological minds. Right, I was trying to convert it into the
Wow.
adjective and just failed. Uh, yeah, the gathering of epidemiologists, and it's a great group of people, but they're not diverse because there are nobody identifies as an attack helicopter amongst this group.
Yeah.
So here's the headline. CNN is widely mocked for a report knocking the Trump administration for its, quote, lack of diversity, end quote, on the task force combating the coronavirus, with a former CNN pundit even pointing out the network's own lack of diversity. In an analysis piece, a quote, analysis, end quote piece,
Wow.
CNN political writer Brandon Tensley sounded the alarm after President Trump tweeted out photos from a briefing he had on the deadly virus that is spreading across the world, saying, "We have the best experts who are monitoring the situation." Who are these experts? They are largely the same sort of white men and a couple of women on the sidelines who've dominated the Trump administration from the very beginning,
Oh.
Tensley complained. The CNN writer then compared Trump's male, pale team to a photo taken of former President Obama's during the 2014 Ebola outbreak. By contrast, former President Barack Obama's circle of advisors in the face of the 2014 Ebola outbreak in West Africa, which, by the way, is still going on, but people aren't talking about it,
Yeah.
was hardly so monochromatic, Tensley wrote. Neither was it so abysmal in terms of gender diversity. Of course, it was completely ineffective.
Well, to be
Uh,
fair, Obama's not monochromatic. So
no, that's true. Of course, to contextualize, Obama's administration on the whole was far more diverse than Trump's. And yet, as unsurprising as the diversity conversation in the Trump era has become, it's still worth pointing out from time to time, especially as the country approaches the 2020 presidential election in earnest. Tensley assessed that the images telegraph the sorts of people the administration is deemed worthy of holding power and even
Oh
being
my
in
god.
close proximity to it, later adding, the visuals that have come out to define the Trump administration say something else too. They signal the kind of people in a multiracial country. Trump values the opinions of mostly white men who are mirror images of the president himself. Yeah, those are the epidemiologists. They're just like Trump.
Or
Uh,
how about they've picked the most experienced, most
Damn it, that
backed.
has nothing to do with it. It's diversity of uber alles.
You know, I'm just trying to imagine being like in an emergency situation, like take for instance my grandmother's case. She
Yes.
needed a heart. She had a heart attack and needed a stent.
Yeah.
I am trying to imagine my uncle and my uncles and my dad turning to the cardiologist or the heart surgeon and saying, "I'm sorry, you're white. Could you please go find us a brown heart doctor?
Well, yeah.
You're
Well, the
not
other,
diverse enough for us, please."
let me give you the other side of that sword, though. The
mm,
other side of that sword, and I'm going to use a uh, personal testimony because by the way, hi, irate prostate, my brother. It's good to hear you. I didn't say hello to you. Uh, I'm going to talk about a friend of mine who happens to
thanks for
be.
sharing.
He's an anesthesiologist. He's a doctor. Now, this guy is from Lebanon, and through no fault of his own, he looks like a Hispanic. He just looks like a guy you would look at him and say, "He's Hispanic,"
He's
because
a
he's got the
mermaid.
dark skin and
Yeah.
Yeah.
just has that look. Now he speaks fluent Arabic, fluent French, and his English is letter perfect. He has a slight Southern accent, slight Texas accent. So you can't tell that he was born in Lebanon, but he's a naturalized United States citizen.
Right.
So this guy, and he's also a practicing Muslim. In fact, he's how I got to going to these Muslim prayer houses. Anyway,
Right.
so uh, he he went to medical school in one of these Caribbean island medical schools,
Mm.
and then came back to the United States after finishing medical school. and wanted to take the uh, boards to practice medicine, and he completed everything. I mean, he graduated the whole shot. That year, for the first time, his medical school was declined by New Jersey as being eligible to take the boards.
Oh,
It's 4 years shot. So here's what he did. This is what this guy is. He took a job as a maintenance man, in an apartment complex. Ended up not only managing it but owning part of it. At the end of 4 years, went back to school for 4 more years at an American medical school.
oh my God.
That's right. And this being and he went back through that, and he was he's a genius. I don't throw the G word around a lot, but he's just a genius. He really truly is. And he, came out brilliantly. He was amazing when he came out. He could have gone into any specialty you wanted. He wanted anesthesiology and the neurology of anesthesiology. It's one of the hardest things to, subspecialties to uh, come out in.
Mm.
And his knowledge of neuroanatomy is just encyclopedic. And you know what he said to me?
Hmm.
He said, "I'm afraid that people will think I'm an affirmative action guy from medical school. And they'll say, I'd rather have the white doctor because I know that he got in legitimately. In fact, he had to beat the giveaway slots." And he said, those exist. I mean,
Yeah.
and this guy, to say he's against affirmative action, you have no idea. He hates that it devalues his effort just on the color of his skin, and thinks it's ironic that it does that.
Yeah.
He says here, my stuff, my effort is devalued just by the color of my skin because of what people's assumption are about affirmative action guys
Yep.
Right.
getting in.
Well, it's the same way about disabled people because,
Is
like,
it?
if you get a job,
Yeah.
you have to worry about, you have to think, did I get the job because I'm qualified?
Right.
Or did I get the job because they felt sorry for me and wanted to tick a box?
Yeah. Reminds me of that
Um,
Exactly.
Crowder thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if for example you got a job as a chauffeur,
mm,
you'd wonder.
I wouldn't wonder at all. I would know at that
I
point.
mean, you'd probably be thinking, and they said, well, you're actually an alternate chauffeur, and your duties won't normally include driving,
Mm,
but you're a chauffeur, and we're going to pay you like a chauffeur.
yeah, that would be like,
You might say, am I a number someplace?
yeah,
And then you would think, how does that affect my worth? I don't get to really find out what I can do.
yep,
And people who are disabled, it doesn't mean they're dead.
mm,
I told you the story about the guy who, he was mayor of well, that's the punchline, but he was a computer guy, made it big, made millions of dollars, and was in I think the first thing was a motorcycle accident, and he was paralyzed below the waist. And so he learned to fly and bought himself a plane that was outfitted so he could fly it with just his hands, just his arms. And he was in a plane crash, and he actually lost both his hands. Both his hands were so terribly burned they had to be amputated.
mm,
And so what did he do? Did he give up? I mean, he was, it's Colorado, it's a good medical benefits. He has all the money on earth. He could have just sat back. No, he ran for mayor of his town, and he's the mayor of a town in south central Colorado. And he talked about it. He said, at the beginning, there were millions of things that I could do, and then after I lost the ability to walk, there were like maybe a few 100,000 things I could do, and after I lost my hands, there were still hundreds of thousands of things that I could do. You
mm,
just have to look in that universe of things you can do and find something that makes you happy. That's the way
exactly.
disabled people. I think that's a very healthy outlook.
Let's see.
Did I just kill the conversation completely?
No,
No, no.
I was looking
I
at
don't know
chat.
why I'm raving like this morning. I should be much more tired than I am.
Mr. Dax was saying that saying the female firefighters that pass the physical tests or have similar concerns um, in places where they talk about lowering the physical, like where some places lower their physical standard. Yeah, it's true. I know of a woman who didn't who passed the physical tests for the firefighter. She's a firefighter, and the test standard hadn't been lowered. Right, she passed the
The real
the
one.
You
real
carry,
one.
yeah, the one where you carry shit,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
human,
Yeah,
yeah,
And
yeah.
a
she,
floppy human body.
yeah, like this, but this
Harder than it
girl,
looks.
well, this girl before she became a firefighter, she was a hockey player and almost got professional.
Yeah,
Almost
Wow.
okay.
was professional. So she
She's
had she's
unusually strong,
very
unusually
strong
coordinated.
girl, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and I can totally see where the rare cases of women who legitimately pass those those standards
Sure.
could feel that they that
They're
could
devalued.
worry that their male counterparts might think, oh, their tests were changed, or
Right.
that's I could understand. I could see that. That's a
Well,
very
I'm
legitimate
sorry to
point.
say that the U.S. Army has lowered its testing rate so that more
Ugh.
women could make it into combat units.
I'm sorry. I don't care what's between your legs. If you can't hack an army course, then you shouldn't be there.
What the stuff? It's chilling when you find out what they changed. It wasn't just the number of pull-ups that you could do, although they did change that. Um, to uh, they changed uh, uh, the length that you had to be able to run with a full pack on. You have to be able to run a certain amount. And that
Right.
means that you might be somebody who everybody else in your unit can run 100 yards and get out of enemy fire, but you can only run 30 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have to be helped, or somebody has to take your pack, and they basically have to put themselves in more danger to get you out of enemy fire to save your sorry ass. I'm sorry, but that's just not fair.
No. I feel that if you, regardless, like I said, if you're male or female and you can't hack basic training,
Yes,
go away. Go
I
do
am with you.
something else.
I am with you.
There is no shame in not being able to hack basic training. You are clearly meant to be a civilian. Go be one.
Yes, go be a good one. There's a snippet saying, asking me, did somebody slip me some mollies? No, no, nobody has been. Uh,
Molly's. That's the wrong kind of.
yeah, but
Yeah,
he's
Skep's
thinking.
rolling hard tonight.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not on amphetamines or anything like that. I super caffeinated. Maybe that's
And
about it.
how did you sleep?
Oh
Because
man, I
I
slept hard.
oh yeah,
I
that's
did.
good.
I actually got a decent night's sleep, and it was really kind of nice.
Well, what
Hey,
I
Skep,
mm,
I was going to describe what ecstasy is like.
oh
Imagine,
god,
imagine like you took a half a hit of acid
Yeah,
and your whole body's horny as shit.
yeah. Well, I
Like,
understand.
yeah,
Yeah, you just
that's what
want to
it is.
snuggle with everybody is what I've
Yeah,
heard.
it's lovey
there's
dovey.
there's a cutaway joke. There's a cutaway joke in Family Guy about that's the time when Peter did or tried ecstasy. And he's like petting Brian, and he's like, "Oh, your fur is so
So
soft."
have blinds. Have you ever tried ecstasy?
No,
Have
no.
you? Irate.
Oh yeah,
So
Yeah, I almost got hit by a car the first time I did it. I was like walking in the middle of the street, looking at the lights, going, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
yeah.
Yeah, everything's awesome.
And then the car was like,
And then
"Hi."
this car skids and stops, and I just looked at it and then just kept walking.
Hello, car.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice to
Wow,
see
that
ya.
was awesome.
It's a great car, man.
You
Look at
stupid
this
son of a
tiny
bitch! What are you doing standing in the road? I was looking at the lights, motherfucker.
Okay, fine.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I forget what it is that the biochemistry of ecstasy is that it basically does. I think it is a serotonin dump.
Yes, it is.
It just dumps all the serotonin in your central nervous system.
That's
at one
why
time.
I refuse to try it.
Yeah,
Because
that sounds like a party,
because of-
actually.
Well, because of my history of depression.
Oh, your
I just
snapback would be terrible, wouldn't it?
refused. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, nope,
Hanging
I
around would be
ain't
horrible.
touching that shit.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder how many people do that and then they commit suicide. Seriously, actually kill themselves from having a deep reflexive depression
Yeah.
post ecstasy.
Well, a good friend of mine that's got not Alzheimer's, he's got Parkinson's, and he attributes it to abusing MDMA.
Well, there's an interesting statistic about that if you take it one time, you quadruple. Now, you increase your chances by 400%. That's what it is of contracting Parkinson's disease later in your life.
Mm.
Do it one
Well, it
time.
fucks with your brain.
Yeah. It also can bring on the onset of it's part of the multiple sclerosis thing. It's similar to multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, it can cook your hippocampus, man. It can fuck you up. Yeah, it can fuck you up.
It'll saute your brain.
Exactly.
Like you read about. So anyway, that's a
I'm
brain on drugs.
I'm too scared to do chemical. I'm full out scared to do chemical drugs.
Oh, come on. Don't be a fucking wimp. You've only got 2 children to be responsible for. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I know myself.
Blind and on acid.
I know how
Blind tripping.
I know how much of an addictive personality I have.
Yeah. You might like it.
I know I would.
Yeah, I know you would too, actually.
Especially...
I believe I know you well enough to say that.
Yeah, especially if, like, any stimulant.
Yeah.
I would just... You mean I can do stuff? I can motivate myself to just... Oh my god, I would be up on top of the world, and I wouldn't have to feel sad anymore until it stopped.
Yeah.
And then I want it again.
So bad. Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's... Yeah, no.
And that's definitely a dragon chase thing where the first high is the best high.
Yeah.
And you forever chasing that first high. I mean, alcohol is a great example of that too. But anyway, I was odd that you should mention this. Just general conversation. I was talking with my daughter this morning, and we were talking about how stupid it is that Texas doesn't legalize pot, and that there's such a huge stigma in Texas associated with doing marijuana, but none at all getting shit-faced drunk on beer or whiskey or whatever.
Yep.
That's not a big deal. You can be the biggest alcoholic in the world, no one will care. But if they catch you with marijuana,
you're a terrible, terrible person.
You're a terrible, terrible person, and the first offense, you're going to jail for a year.
Yeah.
First offense possession, you're going to jail for a year.
And could you imagine all
because
the
we've stopped the drug problem here.
Could you imagine all the addicts legal weed would help?
Oh God, yes.
Well, this whole CBD thing, the federal, lax of the law on that has made it now where a lot of I was overheard a conversation One of Uzi's cousins or really several of them are cops, and they were saying because of the hemp, the CBD hemp stuff is, people are smoking that, and it smells just like weed. It looks it looks like pot,
Yeah.
but it's not, and it doesn't get you stoned, And they said and now so it
Well, the
looks like,
CBD comes from hemp, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
but
going to have the same smell when it burns. It just
Yeah.
doesn't have the tetrahydrocannabinolic acid
Yeah.
that
The
gets
THC.
you wrecked.
Mm,
it'll dull because CBD is a painkiller,
mm,
but it's not, and it doesn't get you high.
yep.
Hmm.
And that's the conundrum they've got. So it looks like now where I live, it's going to be like a decriminalized kind of situation, where if you get caught with an ounce or less, you'll be actually less than that. It has to be less than an ounce. You'll be fined like $250.
When they decriminalized it here, it was half an ounce.
Oh yeah.
You could have 15 grams or less, and they would be like, "Hey, d-
28 grams to the ounce.
yeah."
Yeah.
Yep.
It might.
28.35.
I know.
Pardon me?
What?
28.35.
Ah,
Yeah, I couldn't remember the decimal. I was doing that off the top of my head, though.
I know.
I used to use triple beams.
I know
Okay.
somebody who works in the film industry.
Yes.
And they got to work on Harold and Kumar, and I actually got to see the big bag of weed that
Yeah.
that they are cuddling with or whatever, and he comes and this person I know he comes up, and this is just after the decriminalization took effect, and he goes, "This is 15 grams, I swear, officer." He just thunk.
And
A
it's
big
like
bag of fake weed.
it's about a pound, maybe a half
Yeah.
pound
Yeah.
of some,
It
fluffy
was
bud.
a big, well, because it was prop weed, right? So it was just this
Yeah.
big bag of. But he's like, "This is half an ounce, I promise." Thunk. But it's not fun to watch. Don't ever watch a movie with the props guy that did the movie, because then you'll sit there and have to listen to, "I made that. I still have that. That's mine." It's like, okay, shut up. I'm trying to watch the fucking movie.
It's like streaming with Skeptic. Why won't he shut the fuck up?
Nobody ever says that about you, man.
Actually, it's been
To your
said-
face.
It's been
To your
said to my face and angrily just the other day. So
I'll fucking with you, man.
I got told to shut up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I wasn't welcome. So
Snap.
yeah, that's okay. I've made many enemies in my life.
Here.
Make a few more here and there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I was because this person, he did virgin suicides, and I was watching it with him, and that's through the whole movie. "That's mine. I still have that somewhere in storage. This is how I made this." It's like, could we please wait till I haven't seen this movie? Could you just?
Yeah, just could you write down your commentary? Just take your time. Write it down. We'll review it after the movie.
Exactly.
You can even go in another room to write it down.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to the news, there are just, this is the great thing about Gunfox. There's just tons of great news here. Gunny is like a national resource of news. I love that.
He really is.
It's just even looking through the headlines, like Pelosi argues Trump, quote, cannot be acquitted, end quote, suggests defense team commit suicide. Well, that's not true. I just suggest defense team something should be disbarred. Holy Wait a minute. We have
The
to read this.
defense team should be disbarred?
Yes, the defense team needs to be disbarred. Pelosi argues Trump cannot be acquitted, suggests defense team should be disbarred. Now, she's not a lawyer. She has an undergraduate degree in political science from some for college someplace.
She got an MRS degree at some, you know what I'm saying?
Well, she married a rich doctor. That's exactly.
Yeah, she's from a rich family.
Yeah, and she's from a rich family herself. Yeah. In scathing comments Thursday, as her party appeared on the verge of defeat in the Senate impeachment trial, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi slurped and clicked her way through a statement saying that President Trump cannot be acquitted if the trial lacks the witness testimony and documentation that Democrats have been seeking. So if it doesn't have everything that they want, he cannot be acquitted. The San Francisco Democrat also fired on Trump's impeachment defense team, saying they've disgraced themselves during this week's trial and suggesting they deserve disbarment over their trial remarks. She then went back to licking the windows on the outside of the building. The comments came hours before Senator Lamar Alexander, R. Tennessee. You have to say Lamar like that, and irate prostate knows why. Whenever you say Senator Lamar Alexander, R. Tennessee, said would not back efforts by Democrats to have witnesses testify at the Senate trial, all but sealing an acquittal for Trump. So, this thing is gone. Okay. But Pelosi challenged whether that acquittal would be valid in remarks that seemed a bid to undermine any Trump claim of victory. Quote, he will not be acquitted. End quote. Pelosi insisted during her weekly slurp conference, according to Politico, you cannot be acquitted if you don't have a trial. If you don't have a trial, you don't have enough witnesses and documentation and all that. Does the president know right from wrong?
You know what
I don't think
like? So. She sounds like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, exactly.
When she talks.
She's furious. She's absolutely furious. So anyway, Democrats have been seeking to have former National Security Advisor and new Democrat darling John Bolton and possibly others testify at the trial. Bolton, who was fired in September, is reportedly willing to provide testimony that could bolster the Democrats' arguments that Trump abused his power by seeking a quid pro quo deal with Ukraine. Meanwhile, Pelosi's comments about Trump's legal team were equally combative.
Why don't they just read Bolton's book?
Yeah, exactly. Quote, I don't know how they can retain their lawyer status in the comments that they're making, Pelosi told reporters, according to The Hill. I don't think they made the case. I think they disgraced themselves terribly in terms of their violation of what our Constitution is about and what a president's behavior should be. Okay, that part of the Constitution where it defines the president's behavior.
Madam Speaker, it's the defense's job to refute the case, not make it.
Oh man, yes, exactly.
I understand you're not a lawyer, but
Oh wait, she went from partial crazy to full tilt nuts. Pelosi also accused other Trump allies of attempting to dismantle the Constitution. That's quote, to dismantle the Constitution, end quote, in order to shield the president from conviction and removal from office over 2 articles of impeachment that the Democrat-controlled House approved in December. Quote, some of them are even lawyers, end quote, Pelosi said. Quote, imagine that you would say ever of any president, no matter who he or she is or whatever party, if the president thinks that his or this or her presidency is good for the country, then any action is justified, including encouraging a foreign government to have an impact on our elections.
Okay.
Nobody knew what the fuck she meant.
Did anyone just get an image of Pelosi lying on her belly, beating the floor with her fists?
Yeah, exactly. Kicking her heels, pounding the
kicking her feet. Yeah. No!
I won't go.
Yeah.
This is exactly what our founders were opposed to, and they feared, she added. I don't think
You,
they made the case. I think they disgraced themselves terribly in terms of their violation of what the Constitution is about and what a president's behavior should be, and so forth. So I'm,
you're very correct, Madam Speaker. This is exactly what the founding fathers warned and feared. Just
exactly.
from you. Just
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Dershowitz pushed back. He said, I did not say or imply that a candidate could do anything to reassure his reelection. Only that seeking help in an election is not necessarily corrupt, citing the Lincoln and Obama examples, talking about, uh, let's see, Pelosi's comments about the legal team were largely a reaction to Wendy's assertion by Trump attorney Alan Dershowitz that, quote, if the president does something which he believes will get him elected in the public interest, that cannot be kind of quid pro quo that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment. Meaning that, so the president does something which he thinks it'll help him get elected, but it's also in the public interest, right? So
Hmm.
what the Democrats did was they willfully pretended to misunderstand that, and they said,
Right.
"Well, what he's saying is that anything that he does is in the public interest because he thinks that you know the public will only be served by his election as president. Therefore, he can do anything he wants," which, of course, is not what Dershowitz was saying. That's the kind of mendacity, that's the kind of dishonesty that the Democrats are doing. This reminds me so much of the stuff, the accusations that Labor was flinging at the Tories right before the election. The tone and that willful misunderstanding of things that are obviously not meant a certain way.
yeah,
It's very
Mhm.
similar.
that's true.
So anyway, enough about that. Let's go back to the
Oh,
hit parade of news stories. Let's get away from Trump and that stuff
I
because there's other insanity
you know
too.
what I can't believe that we didn't mention while you're
What's
looking
that?
for more news?
Yeah,
Happy
what?
Brexit Day, my British friends.
Happy Brexit
Yeah.
Day, guys! It's midnight tonight, right?
I believe so, or
Yeah.
midnight last night, I think.
Well, it's actually midnight tonight, but
Oh,
remember that they're like 6 or 7 hours ahead of us.
I thought it was the 1st of February that they were, or the 31st of January that they were out, not the 1st of February.
What? Okay, but, yeah, I may have gotten the wrong thing. Here, I'll look. Do you want me to look that up?
Sure.
I'll look that up really quick. But I did.
She's only a British subject. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, I know. Her money has pictures of
Oh,
ladies on it. It. I did want this thing. Boy who tried to murder fellow pupil locked up. Just a schoolboy trying to murder people. That's nice to see.
Pink
Um,
Hollow says it's midnight tonight.
that's
You
what I
should
thought too.
hear all. You should look up all of the tweets of people who are crying, literally crying,
Oh yeah,
that they have to no longer be an EU citizen. Yeah.
yeah.
that's interesting. Iranian factory is making U.S. and Israeli flags for burning.
Oh, well then.
What country? An
Can't make,
Israeli
can't
country?
make this shit up. I can't believe that this is in
Wow.
Iran. Iranian factory making
Oh,
U.S. and
Iranian.
Israeli flags so that they can be burned. An Iranian factory is producing U.S., Israeli, and British flags for protesters to burn, but its owner says the act has nothing to do with the citizens of these countries. At the factory, located in Khomeini, can't make this stuff up, a town 200 miles southwest of Tehran, workers print the flags by hand, then hang them up to dry. In its busiest periods, the factory produces about 2,000 flags per month and more than 1.5 million square feet of flags annually, Reuters
Wow.
reported. The high sales coincide with a time of increased hostilities between Iran and the United States. The two countries have been at odds since President Trump unilaterally withdrew the United States from the Iranian nuclear deal, a pact between Iran and Western nations that promised eased sanctions in exchange for Islamic Republic curbing its nuclear ambitions, which it never did. Uh, anyway, so I think that's interesting that there's a factory completely dedicated to the production of U.S. flags for burning. But hey, it's the religion of peace, and they mean no ill will toward us, right?
No.
So,
Burning flags can't be good for the climate, says Mr. Dykes.
well,
That's a great point.
well played indeed. Um, let's see. That's kind of a da 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 da.
Totally not trying to fund their interests, says Maniac Man. No, not at all.
UC Berkeley removes the name Bolt Hall, BOALT, Bolt Hall, name from law school after discovery of namesake's racist speech. The University of California, Berkeley removed the legend Bolt Hall from the facade of its main law school building Thursday, severing an association dating back more than 100 years. The decision to dename the hall was the culmination of a process that lasted nearly 3 years and was launched after Charles Reichman, a lecturer at the school, discovered a racist speech delivered in 1877 by prominent Bay Area lawyer John Henry Bolt.
Ugh.
In a statement, I actually studied this guy in school. In a statement, the university said Bolt was instrumental in legitimizing anti Chinese racism and in catalyzing support for the passage of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, the nation's first immigration ban on a specific group of people solely on the basis of race or nationality. Yet, until 2017, his views weren't well known on campus. And it says,
Okay, but wasn't that repealed? Because there's a whole
yeah,
bunch
well,
of
yeah,
Chinese
like
people
big
in the
time.
country now, so what's the problem?
Well, here's the thing. According to the Berkeley Library News website, Reichman discovered the speech in the university's Bancroft Library while researching the debate on Chinese immigration. Bolt's speech included remarks like, the two non assimilating races never yet lived together harmoniously on the same soil unless one of these races was in a state of servitude to the other, and adds that it would certainly seem that an extreme case of divergence as between extermination and this kind of reconciliation, the former were more agreeable alternative.
What's
So,
racist about that exactly?
well, basically saying uh, that extermination of the Chinese was better than reconciliation,
I
as with the Chinese in charge of the white people. So it's,
I didn't get that
yeah, I
from.
know. Reichman though is, he's a lawyer, so he knows this stuff. This is a really racist document. Reichman told the news outlet, and it's just a level-handed prudential. We should limit immigration for the good of the Commonwealth. It's actually way beyond that. Bolt himself never attended or taught at the university. His name was attached to the law school after his widow, Elizabeth, allocated two parcels of San Francisco land valued at $100,000 into a trust to be sold for the university to construct the hall in her late husband's honor. Those properties were destroyed in the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, but in 1911, the university named the newly erected Bolt Memorial Hall of Law in recognition of Elizabeth's generosity, which now never occurred. It's been
Mm-hmm.
written out of the historical record as far as Berkeley is concerned.
Yeah, because her husband wrote some words that don't seem to be actually racist,
Right.
and sh
That today we would find, objectionable.
well, yeah, like I'm not saying I agree with them,
Right. Exactly.
but I'm not hearing, like I'm really not hearing. I don't know. I that's just like what? Why not go and change all of the elementary schools in your country called Jefferson Davis?
Yeah.
Right.
or Thomas Jefferson
You know, in
or
my state, we celebrate Jefferson Davis's birthday on a state level. It's a state holiday.
oh yeah.
Still to this day, yeah.
Oh, in Alabama, sure.
Yeah, that's a bizarre little factoid. Well, Montgomery was the capital of the Confederacy for a while. So,
Briefly, yes,
mhm.
was.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I live in a backwards fucking state,
Well,
but hey,
here's the thing about that. I don't I don't hate the Confederacy.
Mm,
I mean, if you talk to these people, they'll say, "Oh, I hate the Confederacy. I hate the Southern state. I hate," you know. Well, they had a racist view with respect to black people, with respect to slaves, very definitely.
mhm,
Beyond that, and this is such a dishonest thing. They make the Civil War 100% about slavery.
no,
right, it
Slavery
was
was an important issue in it, but it wasn't the only issue or necessarily even the driving issue.
no, it wasn't.
There were economic things. It's always the money.
exactly.
It's always about money. And they disregard that stuff completely. They rewrite history. No, it was, a war of liberation of the slaves, and that's fine if you need to do that, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
cannot make me hate those people. And if you look into it, and here's the sad thing, if you look into that and look into the way that they lived, there were a lot of beautiful things that got destroyed. Both the memory of those beautiful things were destroyed by them losing the war and by trying to hold on to the idea that slavery could be a thing.
Mm,
That was yeah, I do agree that if they had let go of that, they could have worked it out without succeeding.
Yeah.
But it was so symbolic to them. It wasn't really economically a go no go kind of thing. The South could have survived very nicely. They did survive, obviously, without slavery. People say, "Well, the South couldn't survive without slaves." Really? What did it do from 1865 on?
Yeah.
right.
God, it's
Well,
so much dishonesty about
it
that.
drives me crazy because the way that history has, kind of been told, it makes it seem like the Union was just this bastion of freedom for black people right
Yeah,
from the get go, and that all the Union soldiers were like, we're gonna go free those poor oppressed slaves. And
right.
it's like, really? Did
Didn't have
have
a harbor a racist bone in
have
their
you
body.
ever seen the way the black conscripts were treated
Yeah.
in the Civil War
On the Union side,
on the Union? Yeah,
plus, yeah, there's so much dishonesty surrounding that. It just what are you gonna do?
Were there black conscripts on the
Yes, there were
Confederacy? That's
not
what
not conscripts. There were actually volunteers on.
volunteers. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
they
I
were
thought.
all volunteers on the Confederacy side that I know of. I don't
oh,
think there were any
Gunfox is telling me to check my Streamlabs because
ring.
Ding,
my
ding,
phone did
ding.
not phone.
Your slabs.
Let's check
Your,
the
your
Streamlabs.
slabs backing.
And by the way, anybody who can help out Blind Press, please do. It's just
Yes.
a good thing to do. You're helping a noble cause, helping some good people uh, get a foothold in their young lives, their young family, and while Blind Press gets her channel going, and it's just an all around good thing to do. And I personally guarantee you good karma if you donate in this. I
You
guarantee it.
hear that? Skep guarantees you good karma.
Absolutely. That's worth every penny you paid for it. So, but seriously.
Go faster, computer. Jesus.
Go faster.
Let's see. ID3. Uh,
Do 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 do.
so, where do you think this happened? Three women were shot dead in a certain area home that earlier this week were identified late Wednesday after authorities found the man suspected of killing them dead in the woods from an apparent suicide. Police are searching for the missing 1 week old believed to have been kidnapped by his father after the triple homicide, asking the public for information about a white van and a mysterious blonde woman who might have the baby.
Canada.
Nope,
No?
nope. The local police, I don't give it away yet, identified the baby's mother, 40-year-old Arleti Garcia Valdez, grandmother, 60-year-old Isabella Valdez, and great grandmother, 84-year-old Lena Gonzalez.
So
All
Mexico.
Nope,
What?
nope, not Mexico. All three were found shot dead Tuesday inside their home. Relative Melchor Iquizir, unpronounceable, told uh, the local station that family members have asked their local U.S. senator for a special visa to allow other relatives to travel from Cuba to the U.S. to attend the funerals. So these were Cuban people, evidently,
Cubanos.
Cubanos. So police
Ni
believe
Mary.
Ernesto Caballero murdered the women and then kidnapped his son, infant Andrew Caballero, fleeing in a white van. The elder Caballero was found dead just past noon Wednesday in a wooded area near where things happened. Blah, 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 blah. The sheriff said in a press conference. He appeared to have died from a single self inflicted gunshot wound from a rifle. There was no sign of the baby. There's no indication the child was in the area. Bloodhounds did not find the boy, and there's an Amber Alert seeking information about the whereabouts of the father and son. Witness reported a white van similar to the one mentioned in the alert on the side of the highway near there, and the father was found dead about 50 yards away. So, anyway,
So Gunfox sent $5 to say 10-hour live stream incoming. Holy Christ, I don't have time to do 10 hours.
yeah, he sends in enough news, though, to where you could do 10 hours on just what he sends.
Yep.
Mm.
It's just a ridiculous thing. But anyway, so no, this all happened in Florida.
Oh, of course
This,
it did.
yeah, this was Florida, man. This was Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. So I
Well,
just
yeah, there's most Cubans are in that area, in the
yeah,
Miami.
they're clustered down. There's a huge Cuban population in Miami. Yeah, I think the people say that there are more Cubans living in Miami than there are in Havana. So I don't know if that's true. I mean, it's like the old statistic about Greeks in Chicago. There were more Greeks living in Chicago, Illinois, than there were in Athens, Greece. And
Hmm.
that was actually true for a long time. I don't know if it still is, but it was true. Anyway, continuing on.
We're gonna go
Um,
for about 10 more minutes.
all right. Well, this is kind of fun. When I was young, the this was actually in 1649 in England.
When you
Uh,
were young in 1649,
yeah, I
yes.
was in just being high school.
I was
Uh,
still in a diaper, so.
right. A stained vest said to have been worn by King Charles I when he was beheaded in 1649 is set to go on display in London. I think
Dude.
this is fascinating. So
Yeah.
this is this was the thing where the deal with the Chuckinator was King Charles I was that he could have saved himself. He really could have, but he he was such a stickler for the supremacy of the monarchy
Hmm.
that and then when power shifted and he didn't have the controlling power anymore, they almost had no uh, they had no recourse other than to execute him and say, this guy is a tyrant, and power is going to now devolve to Parliament. And this was when uh, government governmental power in England really began to shift, although it had been shifting for a while. Really, truly took a big step. Was the execution of Charles I. So it says a stained vest said to have been worn by King Charles I when he was beheaded in 1649 is set to go on display in London. The king's execution is a key moment in British history. Exactly 371 years ago, on a bitterly cold January 30th, 1649, and it was colder than shit. The king stepped out of the banqueting house in central London onto a scaffold where his executioner waited with an axe. A large crowd assembled to watch the beheading. King Charles I's royalists were defeated by Parliament's forces in the bloody English Civil Wars, which lasted from 1642 to 1651.
God
In May
damn.
of 1646, after suffering a string of military defeats, the king had placed himself in the protection of a Scottish army, but was handed over to the English Parliament 9 months later. Put on
There were three
trial,
parts to that war, weren't there?
put on trial, the king
I
was
think so.
sentenced to death for high treason on January 27th, 1649, and beheaded 3 days later. So the appeals process was not lengthy.
Hello, check your logic. We're only going for a few more minutes, but glad to have you here for the last part of the stream.
Yeah. And
Not a
anyway,
problem. I was only available for a few minutes anyway.
Oh, okay.
okay. It says the pale blue green silk execution vest has visible stains on its front, according to the Museum of London, which will paste the macabre garment on display later this year. Forensic tests in the 1950s and 80s failed to prove conclusively that the stains are blood. Stains, however, fluoresce like bodily fluids under UV light, but could be
Cool.
sweat, vomit, or another substance, the museum says.
Well,
Following the monarch's decapitation, his body was undressed and items of his clothing were distributed to people in attendance, said the Museum of
oh,
London. When the corpse
wow,
was presented
really?
to the Museum of London, then the London Museum, for acquisition in 1925, it came attached with a note of authentication stating that the vest was worn by King Charles I on the day that he was beheaded and was given to the physician who attended him. I just wanted to pass that
So
on.
they stripped him
Yeah,
and
handed
they
out his
was
clothes.
like, here, who wants his boots?
Yeah, who wants his
Who
jock
wants
strap?
his shirt? Who wants his pants?
Got poopy diaper.
Oh my god.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And
That's crazy.
they are also exhibiting the very elaborate pair of gloves that he wore, and
Gotta get dressed up for my death.
well, pretty much. I mean, other
Wouldn't that be
artifacts said to
scary
be
though?
from his
'Cause
execution included gloves, a handkerchief, a sash, fragments of a cloak, and various other things. He was it was a funny thing. He actually was he wasn't looking down when he put his head on the block. This was a traditional execution on a headsman's block,
Right.
but he lay down on his side.
Sideways.
Yeah, and they cut through his neck that way.
Weird.
Yeah,
Why,
well,
wonder
we were
why.
laughing at him. We said, "Come on, do it the right way." And he said, "Fuck you! I'll do it the way I want to."
It's my body, my choice.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. My body, my choice. It's probably the
This is
first time that
this
ever.
this is the only thing I can control in this situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no shit.
My last decision.
So therefore,
Yeah.
maybe he was trying to get the executioner with a spray of arterial blood.
Yeah. Could
So
be.
he was lying on his side.
Yeah. Usually the executioners were pretty plowed. They were pretty drunk when they were doing it. That's really the reason that a lot of them missed the target. And like it took three swipes of the headsman's axe to
Ugh.
execute Mary Queen of Scots successfully.
Mm.
And she was even heard to mother after the first one just wounded her neck. She said something like bloody Christ or Jesus Christ, you know.
Yeah.
You know, can you not do anything right? Seriously?
I could imagine. Well, first of all, I can totally imagine a Scot doing that.
Oh Christ!
Oh Christ!
He
Can
goes,
you not do it right way?
And then she had the last laugh because she had cut her hair short and was wearing a wig. So when the headsman picked up her head and by the hair to hold it up and say, "Behold, the head of a traitor,"
The wig
the
fell off
wig
and the
came
head.
off and the head rolled like a basketball all the way across the floor, and people were just kind of horrified as and she would have still have been conscious at that point too. So she saw them
yeah.
go round and round and round. That would have been a pretty fun way to go out.
That is so. That messes with me to think that your brain is still
Oh, the
yeah.
active.
the the
Right
chemist
after.
Lavoisier, who was convicted of what he was convicted of. He was executed in the French Revolution. He
Right.
was convicted of having helped build. He was a consultant to help build the walls around the city of Paris, and so therefore was considered part of the aristocracy. And when he realized he was going to be executed, he had an assistant. He said, "I want you up there on the scaffold," and this was permitted. And he said, "I'm going to blink for as long as I can after my head is cut off." He blinked for 18 seconds, steady blinking. And
That's creepy. The fact
yeah,
that he died and his brain still had that memory of I've told myself I'm going to blink
oh yeah, yeah.
after I'm dead.
On another
Like,
guy, they yelled his name. His eyes were closed initially after the guillotine came down,
Right.
and they yelled his name, and he opened his eyes, and then they started to kind of fade down again. They yelled his name again, and they said he came, his eyes came back with even more intensity and this angry, snarling look on his face, and then that
wow.
faded, and then he died. That took seems to take between 5 and 15 seconds, depending on the
That's
person.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucked up thought to know that if your head gets cut off.
Yeah.
Like, I
You're still
wonder.
conscious, and the interesting thing is what you'll feel the cascade of blood going up into your nasopharyngeal
Mm,
space, and that will make you want to take a breath to
yes.
clear it out, and of course you won't be able to do that. I think you would feel like you're suffocating. It would feel like you're being waterboarded to death.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
wouldn't last very long.
And I wonder if somebody like me, because you know how you were saying, they were blinking, they opened their eyes and stuff like.
Yes.
I wonder if a blind person would hear something after they died,
You
if
certainly
they
could
got their
hear.
head chopped off.
Yeah, you'd still hear the crowd and shit, you know.
You'd hear the thunk.
Yeah,
Yay!
exactly. That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And
I
then it
think
would slowly fade out. I
yeah.
wonder if it would slowly fade out or if it would just stop.
What I the theory is that you probably go into shock. See, you basically, if you've ever been in shock before, you essentially stop noticing everything.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
almost like anesthesia.
Yeah.
You just stop noticing shit. You even stop noticing the pain. So that's a mercy,
It is.
but it's still,
I suggest you don't try it at home, says
yeah,
Mr.
cutting your head off is a bad thing. I mean, I think I can say that.
Well, this is a nice stream topic.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Sad.
kind of
The
happy,
happy stream.
happy.
Yes.
Well, let me see if there's anything positive we can say. I saw that John Andretti died. I thought that was very sad. Everybody's going into paroxysms of sadness about Kobe Bryant, and that was very sad about him and his daughter.
Mm.
What happened to him and his daughter? But it's also sad that John Andretti, who was 56 years old, he'd been a driver. Just like he
It was
was
bad.
like his dad. And he kind of had it. his eyes. If you look at his eyes, he looks very much like Mario Andretti.
Yep.
And he died of cancer, colon cancer. He was
Oh.
diagnosed 2017. And
Didn't Andretti drive a car number 41?
don't get me the lion. I don't know.
I remember I had a Hot Wheels of that fucking car when I was a kid. Yeah. Andretti's Formula One racer.
Yep. But anyway, he fought bravely. Yeah, he was very courageous about taking on cancer. I was thought he acted with a lot of class, a lot of. You hope you would have that much character and charisma and courage.
Courage. Yep.
Yeah, to face something like that and like that. So that's at least something a little bit more helpful. I'm, there's just so many bad things.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to ask: what is the feeling up in Canada about the coronavirus stuff? What are people saying up there? Are they panicked?
There's, I think there is some panic. There's a lot of like places like in Vancouver, um a lot of the drugstores and stuff like that are sold out of face masks because there's a huge Chinese population in Vancouver. Um, so I think they're
Mm.
really freaked out. And we have this a really big problem because we have a lot of Chinese exchange students that come in and out of Canada, and a lot of Chinese um, business owners and landlords and all that go home quite often. And we still haven't put a travel ban on China right now.
Ruh-oh.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, we're crazy.
Yeah.
There's
think-
a meme, or there was a thing going, or tweet the other day going around where a Mr. Anti-Bully put it out.
Mm.
And it says China, star cough, star achoo, star sneeze, star sniffle. And then it's like he names a whole bunch of different countries. Borders closed, right? Canada, comments closed, right? It's just,
Yes, exactly.
that was, and it's true. It's true.
Ironic.
Anyone up here that says, why are we not having a travel ban in place right now? Well, that's racist, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm sorry. If there were white people that were this sick, I wouldn't want them near me either.
No shit.
I don't care what race you are. You're sick. Fuck off.
Yeah. So there you go. But it's down here people basically hardly know what it is. People have an idea. They think it's like the flu, but they don't really know what's going on. So
Wikipedia snippet says, I saw a cheesy horror flick where they kept a woman's head alive.
Yeah, man. The Brain That Wouldn't Die. That's a great film. It's from the 50s. It's black and white. And it scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid. It's a great movie. It's just horrible. The production quality.
Pelosi, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, she looks like Nancy Pelosi too. Dude.
Yeah, she.
Yeah, and she talks in this weird whisper, even though she has no lungs or anything, right? She's just a head on a table with like these tubes going in and these bubbles going. It's like old school lab props.
Well, that's disturbing.
It's funny as shit, man. Thanks for that, Wiki. I needed that memory. I forgot it somewhere around here. It was Elvira special.
Yeah.
Well, my friends, I am hungry as hell. and I need more coffee. So I'm going to end. Irate. Is there a
Yes.
cream stream tonight?
Yes, there will be tonight, but not next Friday.
Not next Friday. Okay.
Correct. And stick for about 3 minutes after because I want to tell you something about that.
Okay.
And on Sunday, I'm talking to Dax Orion.
Nice.
All right. I said it right that time, didn't I, Dax?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
And then tomorrow we're doing Star Trek. Dax has given us his third pick. His pick, Random Thought, is the episode he picked, and I'm yelling at Polly to give us his too. So
Random Thought is
is Dax's
Voyager.
pick,
Okay.
and that is season 4, episode 10. So
410. Okay, easy peasy, like a shotgun. 410.
yes, and then Sunday, of course, it is Blind and the Special, which is always a good time. And if you haven't seen them yet, go check out my Mortal Kombat videos that I put up this week, especially the Joker one, because that is super fun. I was actually playing last night with Pincalo, and we had a lot of fun. So go check those out. And I don't know who's doing Wildcard Fridays tonight, but go check out Minions before you check out the Cream stream. So, on that note, my friends, I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I'd like to thank Skep and Irate for joining me, and I hope everyone has a good Friday, and I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Thank you all for watching.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Thanks for the invite.
Hasta la basta.
Yeah.